to the moon.
Houston, we have a problem.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Heliopsychosis podcast. This is your host Vikka Draziv. Guys, welcome. If you are watching us from YouTube, do like, comment, share, and subscribe if you haven't. And if you are watching us from Heliopsychosis or Fern from Facebook, do comment and tag your friends. Help us grow with the community. And if you're gonna comment, do make sure that you allow StreamYard to see your name, because we can see your comments but we can't see your name. So if you want that your comments to be highlighted, so make sure you let StreamYard do that. And then if you are watching us from rts.com, rts.video, welcome guys. And that was really an awesome intro by RTS, one of our main sponsors for Heliopsychosis and Truth Frequency Films. So welcome everyone there too. And let's jump into our guest. We have an amazing topic today. It's really a wide topic, but it's always mystery and so many different opinions. So we have some amazing guests and hosts here to discuss that. My first co-host, Rob. Rob, how are you doing, brother?
Hey, Vikka, thanks for the intro. As always, it's nice to be here with a group of guys who not only understand philosophy of good life and good living, but the philosophy and the reality of the motionless circular plane with the solid dome overhead, that all the science they preach in the schools and NASA and all the space shuttles are nothing but helium balloons that fly up in the sky with fake burners underneath them. The firmament is one of the biggest topics, and because everything is underneath it, and everything depends on the firmament. We got a lot of topics. Got a lot of material to talk about today. I can't wait. Thanks for the invitation, and as always, thanks for putting everything together, Vikka. And welcome to Kevin and Gene. As always, thanks for coming in today.
It's always great to have you, brother. Welcome. And our
Thank you.
next co-host, as you all know him, also Jeannie. Jeannie, how are you?
I'm great, Vikka. How are you?
Oh,
Everything
awesome,
good
brother.
over there? Very good. Thanks for the invite. It's great to be here again. It was a long week, and it went by so quick. Time is a strange thing, right? This is a great topic. Looking forward. And hi to everybody in the chat room out there on all the different platforms. It's great to see you, and hope you have a good time tonight. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Gene. Well, you're welcome, brother. And yes, our next guest, also, you all know him
Audio
too.
problems.
Kevin, how are you?
Very blessed, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. Always honored to be on here. Shout out to Rob and Jeannie as well. All you guys are awesome. So very excited for the show. Very big topic. So a lot to go over for sure. One of my favorite topics. So let's go ahead and dive in for sure. Thank you again, Vikka.
You're welcome, Kevin. Definitely, it's an awesome topic and one of the most interesting one. But before we jump in our topic, Kevin, do you want to mention some things about the Patagonia tour in Argentina at the end of the beginning of 2023? If you want to share some light before we jump in the topic.
It's something that is still kind of in the works. So I don't know if I want to make an official announcement yet, to be honest, but we do have something going on where we want to go to Argentina, fly into Buenos Aires, and then go to multiple spots all the way to Patagonia, and then have an observation there. But like I said, I don't want to make an official announcement yet, so we'll wait on that. But I do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Argentina, you're gonna be already having a lot of fan, Kevin, because just a couple of days ago, Iro Landucci released the Flatten the Curve on his channel, and lots of Argentinians wanna see you because we already had a huge viewership with our Flatten the Curve in the English speaking community, and you know that the Spanish speaking communities are really big too. There are so many countries, so our viewership is almost like gonna be doubled, you know. So every everyone in the Spanish community also knows everyone about the Flatten the Curve, and they're equally impressed. There are some amazing comments already, and so it's awesome. A big shout out to you, Landucci, for sharing that from Nur para Todos. Yeah. So yeah, sure, Kevin. It's still far to see what could be done for that tour and the whole observation thing, you know. And Augustine is really quite inspired to do that tour and observation. So let's see if we can be a part. We have ideas to be part of that but we see how it goes, right? So let's jump into the topic of tonight. Yeah. You guys have heard of David Latimer?
Um,
I have not.
Okay, so
like,
David Latimer is a guy from UK who did an experiment from the last 60 years. He had a huge bottle and he had a terrarium built in that. And he just watered it once after 12 years and he still maintained the whole ecosystem inside that jar, you know, inside that bottle. Have you seen it? You guys have any idea about that one?
yeah,
Is
I
it
do.
is
It
it a
was
big
how
is that a big sphere?
Yeah, kind of a
I've
big
seen it.
sphere with a bottle open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he
I know what
made
you're talking
one,
about.
and
Okay.
it lasted a few years, and then he redid it. So he's on the second version of it, and it's been closed for 30 some years now.
Yeah, the first one he did, he made it, and after 12 years, he just watered it a little bit more, and then he just left it for the whole 60 years. You know, the whole 60 years there didn't need any external input. You know, the whole ecosystem was formed inside that closed medium, you know, the closed glass, you know. So everything from the earth to the water to the humidity and how it falls like the rain and all the nutrients, how the plants were taking, the only external thing it needed was the sun, you know, the sunlight.
All right.
So that guy, he, I think he donated it to some museum now because his family don't wanted to keep that because take care of that. So he, in that way, it's proved like a small experiment that inside a closed system you could have an ecosystem that could function perfectly, you know. So being no barrier on this earth doesn't make sense, and being close does make sense because that's how it's functioning, and this is shown in a small scale, that how is it been done, that an enclosed system, how it works by itself. So if you see the earth, our nature around, it does the same thing in that closed enclosed system, that cover, that roof, or whatever you want to call that.
Definitely looks like he had it since 1972, and it's still alive to this day. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, it is.
It basically just proves that we're in just a bigger version of that. You know what I mean? Like that couldn't happen if we couldn't happen, type of thing. You know, or we couldn't happen if that couldn't happen. Like you said, it's
Right.
a smaller scale of it, but obviously we live in a smaller ecosystem like that, or a lot larger. So sorry.
And there's something underneath it as well, so it could be like a big bubble. Underneath the water, they found the firmament also.
Yeah, it's
So that,
supposed to be. So, and also that all the ancient cosmologies, be it Egyptian, be it the Hebrew, the Greek, the all the other ones, the Vedics, the Mayans, there's so many different cosmologies, and they all show the same thing, like a flat plane with a dome above. So if most of them were saying, so that has to be in a way the real cosmology of the ship, that we, it's not that we are a globe with no barrier, so it doesn't. Rob, you want to add something before we continue?
Oh yes, absolutely. The Vikka, you said it right there. All of the ancient world orders, and when I say that, I mean world order. For example, the Egyptian world order, the Babylonian world order, the Navajo world order, the Indian, Incan, Mayan, Aztec, Norse, all the previous world orders, they have their own version of the Rakia dome over the earth, the circular plane of the earth and the Rakia dome over it. There's only one ideology that shows the spinning ball. Only one in all of world history, and that is the Vatican Jesuit world order. And anything thereafter. That's the only one. And where did it come from? It didn't come from any scientific evidence except for their own NASA CGI. Other than that, it's complete mythology. It's modern day Greek Vatican mythology. That's all it is. And that's on first look. You don't even have to turn the page. That's on page 1.
Yep, agree.
Voila, and that's what our entire discussion is about today, is the fact of that barrier, and actually that barrier exists from multiple standpoints, and I'll bring them up as we go along. Operation Fishbowl is the main one, when the U.S. military fired rockets up against it, and the rockets exploded, proving that it does exist. Many other examples, but I'll give it back to you, Vikka.
Yeah, so adding to what you are saying, Rob, so if these people try to break the dome, so what could be the material that the dome could be made of? So in some cosmology, in some scriptures, it says that it's a translucent material, hard material with high potency of translucent and hard. So my take would have been that the hardest material, that it's I'm not saying it is like that it's a hypothesis that it could be something similar to a diamond, a diamonds. So, and if these people have tried to break that, so what are the meteor showers are? So my take would be that these meteor showers could be these small diamonds that it falls around, because diamond, I think, can be found everywhere in this world. So it's possible that these meteors, what we see, are these not what these people say are the stones and all these rocks in the space, and it's not that, but it could be small parts of this translucent glass or diamond or whatever you want to call it. Because one thing is for sure, that it's not ice, because if there's an ocean, it's holding above, it cannot be ice, and it can't be just water above without anything, without any support, because ocean above have a lot of pressure. We are speaking about millions of tons of pressure should be there, because that's the base of that ocean above. Like it's the same in our oceans. When we go below, the pressure is so high that the people are going to explode, right? So the same thing have to be the above ocean.
I think it could be just materials that we don't really have on the element chart. They don't tell us everything. We all know that, first of all. So they're not going to tell us that.
Gene, the closest is could be some glass or some. What we have is the diamond, maybe another thing, but what could relate to a translation material and transparent and hardest material, because this have to. It's holding the weight of oceans above. It cannot.
Yeah, and who knows how big the ocean is and what kind of pressure is really being applied. And so to me, it's like a god material as far as we could tell. It's hard as a rock up there. It could be a gas. It could be liquid. Could be all three at once.
Well, we know this, that the sun and moon and all the other planets that circle the North Star, those are all electromagnetic. Right. So we have verifiable evidence that the dome is electromagnetic, which can very well, at the proper voltage, can serve as an actual solid barrier. Absolutely. So exactly. we really don't know what it's made out of. Right. We know we have the effect of several things. We know it's solid. We know it's impenetrable. But what is it made out of? Well, a lot of what we know points to electromagnetic.
100%.
But okay, so there's that. But then there's also a story about that sky ice that Admiral Byrd people out there, they literally drilled into the firmament at the ground level, and as their machine drilled into it, the firmament closed around it, and it was made out of just solid, pure ice, like more colder than cold oxygen. I'm not sure about that. That hints a lot of mythology there. I'm not sure, but it's all speculation. We really don't have any evidence of what it is.
No, because when they drilled, they supposedly took some and tried to transport it, and they couldn't transport it because it just evaporated into nothing. Didn't even leave moisture or
as it melted, it just turned oxygen. There you go, right? Yeah, I've often wondered that, though, Gene, and anybody else. I've often wondered, where does all the oxygen come from in the air, in the atmosphere?
Well,
okay,
they say the plants.
Well, they say the plants, but think about it. All those jet engines, they burn a lot of oxygen. That's a lot of oxygen up there.
Their carbon footprint would crush 1,000 of our carbon footprints at once. Now, one of them crushed 1,000 of us. We can't touch their carbon footprint. So it's not us doing this, you guys. I think most people have kind of figured that one out by now. But just that's a legitimate question. Where does all this oxygen come from in the atmosphere? There's a lot more than just plants.
Have you guys heard of the blue sky stone?
Yeah, and go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, no, that's what we're talking about, Kevin.
Exactly.
The sky stone.
Yeah, the blue sky stone is actually made out of 7.07% oxygen, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's possibly where a lot of it could come from. Before.
So it could just be seeping right out of the firmament then, right?
And Kevin, that is my allusion right there. I'm alluding to that. And we know this, that the heavens have layers. And even the Operation Fishbowl, if you read it, their hyperbaric bombs, missiles, they exploded at different layers. And as they exploded, the technicians were observing that the different bombs exploded at different layers as they approached the heavens, meaning the firmament. So,
Rob, yeah, and that's the thing, right? To have layers of different gases and everything, there has to be a container in the end, so
yeah, there you go.
Right.
and being a pressure and so being at that and thinking that this could be a gas layer that is acting as a barrier is not possible, because that gas need that container above that. So we have different layers of different material as we go up in the atmosphere until we come to this solid, let's call it whatever, maybe a sky dome, a sky glass, as someone is mentioning in the chat.
Yes, and as we go along, remember the Truman Show. There it is, right? The very final scene of Truman Show, he found the firmament, right? He found it, and he said, "Hey, I'm out of here."
I think that's like stepping into the next life. Go ahead, Gene.
I'm sorry. Yeah, if you look real close at that final scene when his hand goes to touch the blue part of the sky, the firmament, right? When the boat rips through it, if you pay attention, there's an F written in the scenery there on the blue part. He's got the OK symbol in his fingers as he's going to touch the firmament, and if you look close, there's an F there, and it's Hollywood saying something. I would say, what would the F be doing on the firmament? Just there, yeah, okay. So just saying.
Gene, I'm sorry, would you say that again? What that was an imprint of what?
When he's going to touch the firmament, when he's like freaking out, going, "Oh my God!" You'll see his hand is in an OK symbol.
Okay.
There's an F right there, like So it's not just blue, like one color blue. There's a little texture and a little depth to it, and in that depth and texture, you can see an F written in the blue part of that scene, which I find really interesting coming from Hollywood.
And like an F, like the letter F, like Fox, F?
Yes. Firmament.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, firmament. There you go. There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
And even the word
it could go right over your head, and you don't see these things.
I'll let somebody else
send it to you.
Yeah, please do. And I'll let somebody else bring this up, or I will. Firmament is a false word. Firmament, a straight window, a flat window could be a firmament, right? But the word in the Bible is rakia. I'll let somebody else cover that. But let's talk about what firmament really is. Firmament is the English translation of the original Hebrew word rakia. We need to focus on that.
Rob, the word firmament is firm. The word firm is there. What is firm? Yeah. Anything solid is firm. It's also, if it's in English translation, it's the more obvious one. Because something that is firm. So
that is firm.
Yeah, go ahead.
But the Hebrew rakia gives a shape to it, not just any,
like a vault. Yeah.
Like a vault. Yeah. Yes. And the Spanish term is bóveda. Bóveda means a vault. Anyone who knows the Spanish language well, they know that bóveda in the Bible, Genesis 1:6 says there was a bóveda over the earth. There it is, a dome-shaped solid covering. There you go.
Yeah, it has its purpose, because somebody did mention that the firmament could be a plane and don't reach the end. There was some opinions like that too, but I go more near a walled dome, because that's a structure that is much more solid and much more for something like an ocean to be above, or whole whatever be above. So.
There you go. And
someone
the idea.
Yeah.
Here's another one, Vikka, and everybody else. The idea that mankind can somehow escape the firmament defies the idea of the all-powerful creator, because the creator is not going to create a structure whereby man can escape. That's not going to work out. It doesn't work.
Yeah, God would never let it happen, just like whenever Nimrod tried, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Nimrod, and then Pegasus, and then NASA with the space shuttle. They're all the same bullshit concept.
Yep. Yep.
And-
Walt
and-
Disney with their tower.
And Nimrod's birthday, I think, was December 25th.
Oh, is that right? Yeah, it's either that or May 1st.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Probably
May
both.
1st
Someone
being,
from
yeah, go ahead.
someone from Facebook saying the gases is the firmament. They become solid as we see it. Yeah, but the gases cannot hold. Gases cannot hold the quantity of water and ocean above. No matter what form it was or it becomes, it doesn't have that solidity of holding something like a ocean above. So it's just. Yeah, then there's another one says Book of Enoch says the sun exits one window and enters other. The sun and the moon. Yeah, and even the stars. I think they are not even inside the firmament. So we're gonna go more ahead after with that. And
They're the
there's
lowest
another
part of the
comment.
firmament, aren't they?
That was is the dogmatic belief that they are
Okay.
supposed to be inside the firmament. But we have to really think what is inside, what is outside, and where is the ocean. So okay, maybe we have to enter in some imagination world, but what we are going to try to discuss here maybe sound like a hypothesis, but it has much more evidence to be the truth than whatever is being thought or known or in the flat earth community and in the globers community or whatever. So the official narrative and the all dogmatic views we have about what could be this earth and the firmament. Okay, so let's jump into it. Okay, we try to see if we can picturize it. Okay, so a dome, as we are speaking about, it cannot be just half a dome. It has to be a whole ball. Okay, something solid that is transparent and is fixed in the middle. Okay, we have the lower part, which is a more heavier part, and then we have the upper part where it's supposed to be the ether. Okay, so I want you all to imagine a ball. Okay, because there are scriptures which says that the earth is immovable and still, because we are supposed to be still, and we are hanging in nothingness. Okay, because we always think, okay, the flat earth has a dome. What is below? Where are we hanging? Are we in space? Are we in water? No, there are different ideas about where we are exactly. This whole half ball, if you want to call it, or full ball. That it has to be somewhere, right?
Completely. Well, biblically, Earth is a bottomless pit. So, like, there's no bottom to it, like in biblical terms, for sure. But yeah, it's completely. It's fixed, established, not to be moved. It says it multiple times.
Oh yeah, Rob, you want to add something before we continue?
Well, not sure about the bottomless pit there, Kevin. Please add some more discussion. But what we know is beneath us is a bunch of solid ground, and there's the Russians drilled a 6-inch diameter hole down to 7 some miles. At the bottom of it, it became so hot that they couldn't drill anymore. So I'm not sure about the bottomless pit there, Kevin. Although there was something called SHEOL, Sheol, but that's just the abyss below, right? That's a general reference to the abyss below. So we know there's dirt beneath us, right? So I'm just throwing that out. What we know. Go ahead, Vikka.
Rob, what you're saying? Okay, so if this dirt or this Sheol exists, same way something is holding the water above, something have to hold that ground below, right?
Well, indeed, right. What is the ground below? I've had this discussion with another guy, and he was convinced that the ground. Let's just imagine this: the ground, the seabed. Okay, there's an ocean above with the dome, and the ground. For example, we are sealed in the dome, but the bedrock is just continues on, and our dome just locks us into this portion of it, but the ground bed keeps going on indefinitely. That's another look.
Okay, Rob.
That sounds like what
Okay,
Kevin
it
was
could
saying.
be, yeah, it could be possible, but Rob, my take would be that the same way we have the dome above, and we have something to hold below the same dome below, and that would be my take, because we need that cage, that enclosure totally, because you know that people are going to escape from below. Nobody can escape this.
I agree.
So
I agree. It
Yeah,
does
so
look like
I'm
there's
just kidding.
and if there's a sealed environment, Vikka, if there is a sealed environment, the water that came in because of the flood at the time of the flood of Noah, more water came in from above and below. So there's more water
Yes.
out in this. If this is a sealed environment, the entire spherical dome makes a lot more sense. So there's
Right.
evidence of that too, conceptually. Yes.
Yep. Go ahead, Jeannie.
No, it does make sense that it's more like a sphere. And there was a guy that did find some sort of lake that he bounced off a lake under the ocean, so to speak. And
Right.
and that guy died like very shortly after he came out with that video pointing this out. He was in a sub and he has a video. It's a pretty cool looking video. It's been out for a long time.
You mean he had a Clinton suicide?
Yeah, he found a way out. He didn't like.
He found his way out.
Yeah.
So the half
Unavoidably.
part below part of the ocean and the earth below, that is also, that has the dome below is holding everything. That part is called the magnetic basin, that we are on the top of this plane. Okay. And then we have our atmosphere, all the gases layer, and then we have our dome. Okay. This is a fixed, closed, non-movable ball, if you want to call it, and we are in the middle in our flat plane. Does it make sense?
There you go, Vikka.
Yeah.
There's a lot of evidence that shows that. I tend to agree with that.
It makes a
Completely.
lot of sense too.
Yeah, it's like we're on the top of the torus effect, so we're the positive side, and then the bottom is the negative side.
Exactly.
So it's that movie Stranger Things, when they go to the other side, it's called the Upside Down. There's a lot of references to CERN in that series. I just think of Hollywood when we talk about these things, because it's all kind of being shown to us in strange ways, strange things. And I haven't seen it yet either, only clips, but I get a lot out of the clips enough. I don't like to watch that stuff.
Okay, so we are fixed and movable in this ball. So how is that the firmament above is moving if we are fixed? What's happening?
Because it's not, even though we're attached and embedded into it, the firmament doesn't have to obey to our laws, really.
Yeah.
Like it's like an electron, sort of the way it spins, and as a reference, maybe. But we don't have to. We have our own laws down here, physical laws that we have to abide by. But I don't think nature, in that context, and that content, really has to follow the laws that we understand. And these guys giving us the table of elements, they might know exactly what's going on too, but they won't tell us.
You mean the periodic table?
Right. Yeah.
Gene?
Right. Yes.
Right. You mean the final result of all their alchemy?
Right. Yes. Exactly.
The alchemy table.
They dissected everything, and here's what everything's made of. And
yeah.
I don't buy
atoms, and protons, and neutrons, and electrons. That's all invented numerology. That's all. Satanic numerology. That's all it is. As a scientist, I will tell you, there's tin, there's gold, there's iron, there's copper, and that's as basic as we can understand things. All this electron moving, that's just numerology. That's all that is.
Yeah.
That comes from Kabbalist text, right?
There you go. Thank you. Kabbalist numerology. It's Kabbalist numerology because actually the original gematria in numerology comes from the Holy Scripture. There is the numerology and gematria of the Holy Scripture, the Holy Creator. Then there's also the Luciferian Kabbalist, right? Numerology, gematria. So there you go. Let's identify it that way.
Okay, just to recap that what we discussed till now, that the dome, we have a dome above, and that the dome continues, that there are possibility that this could be that is holding the oceans and the ground below, and how this whole ecosystem is just closed and we are motionless. But now what we come to, how come the firmament above is moving if we are still below and above? So what? Go ahead.
I just thought of something. When you're filling a 2,500 gallon pool, let's say, whatever size pool, there could be bubbles throughout the whole entire system, on the bottom of the pool, the sides of the pool. You guys ever seen that? Little bubbles on the sides of your pool, right?
Oh yeah, of course. When the water's coming in, yeah.
Not after everybody's been swimming in it all day, but I'm saying a fresh pool can definitely have bubbles on the bottom and the sides, right? Yeah.
Completely. I think like the firmament still could be fixed. Just everything inside of it could be moving, like the sun, moon,
Right.
and stars. You know what I mean? It still could be fixed for all we know. Biblically, it says the earth is established, fixed, not to be moved. So if the firmament's a part of earth, then obviously it could be fixed as well. But what if the stars are moving inside of the firmament and the firmament is staying stationary?
Sure.
Yep. It could be.
Well,
yes, it's possible.
Remember, Aries' failures proved that the stars remain fixed in the firmament, and the firmament circles the earth once every 24 hours. Let's remember that. Aries' failure, 1871, showed that the stars move in unison, and I mean the fixed stars. The fixed stars, they rotate or they turn like the dome is turning once every 24 hours. There you go.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was saying dome too, because of the shape of the stars. Well,
yep, there you go.
Okay, let's imagine it as a ball. Okay, we are on the lower part of the ball because of the magnetic fields. We are above, and the atmosphere is above, and we are fixed. Okay, we are not moving. So how could we explain how the firmament is moving? The another thing, it could be that this ball, that fixed ball we are in with the flat plane, is fixed, and then there's another firmament around that. Okay, imagine there's another firmament, and we are in between the two firmament, and there's a layer of ether that acts. That imagine a ball inside a ball. The outside ball is moving, and the inside ball is fixed, and it like.
Right.
That makes
getting
sense.
what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
absolutely do.
There's actually a big debate back in the day about a firmament or layers in the firmament. I think I've expressed this before, but there's layers inside of the cake, because the is just one. You know what I mean? But a could be a plural. So that's just kind of another biblical term, but there could be layers in the firmament completely.
Right. They make a compass out of a ball in water, and it sounds similar to what you're explaining here, Vikka. You ever seen them? You put it on your car dashboard, and it's a ball in a ball with water, and the compass is inside.
Exactly, and so that the ball inside is equilibrate and it's not moving. The one what is moving is the outside one ball is moving, and what is between the two is void. Not void, we could call void, but it's ether. And what is ether? Ether is supposed to be the field where electromagnetic radiation happens, or light radiation can happen. Okay, so we have a layer between these two balls which acts like the other moves, and the one between balance itself because of the ether, the vortex of the ether from above and below equilibrates, and that's why we are, what is down, and what is up, that's why even if you see a toroidal field, how is the image of a toroidal field, like the vortex
Positive
go
versus
from the
negative.
middle.
Like a
Exactly.
donut.
I think that's why
Right.
we see the equator star trajectories going in opposite directions. It's us looking up in the middle of the toroidal field, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
It
Yeah,
does.
that's what's happening.
That was painted by who did Starry Night? Those stars are swirling in that picture. Who was that? Van Gogh?
Yes, that is Van Gogh.
Yeah, Starry Night. I was
That Dutch guy.
right. And I heard the story about him cutting his ear off is not really true. I don't know though. It's propaganda. But you know, I like to say that I do actually think that the air or the ether is the actual fabric that connects us all. It's real. It's God. It's not just emptiness. It's your thoughts. It's your feelings. It's all the good stuff, and probably some bad stuff. But I don't give that too much attention. You don't feed the bad
Now-
monkeys and they go away.
What was it? Stone Temple Pilots did a song about it. We're as if we're flies and the ether is the Vaseline. Flies in the Vaseline.
Oh, is
We
that what
are.
that is?
Sometimes it blows my mind.
So it
Keep
doesn't
getting
make
stuck
sense
here all
then.
the time.
So that because of
There
that
you go.
Vaseline, that thing is moving around us, you know. So exactly. Hey Keith, welcome. How
And
are
by
you
the way,
doing, Keith?
Scott
Where
knew what
were
he was
you?
talking about.
Hey guys, doing good. Good to be with you.
Keith, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Keith, how's it going?
Doing real good, man. Enjoying Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Oh,
Roger that.
Oh,
And by the way,
yep, happy.
sorry, go ahead. Rob.
No, go ahead, Rob.
I wanted to capture this moment since we're talking about pop music now. I threw it out. I want to ask everybody, the Beatles, okay? Remember the Beatles?
Let me sing it.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
We all live in a yellow submarine. A
Yeah.
yellow submarine.
Yeah, Kevin knows this.
Very good.
I pulled one on Kevin the other day, and he thought I was joking, but then he realized, oh my gosh, Rob's telling the truth there. So, Kevin, go ahead. Tell us how the Yellow Submarine applies to all this.
Well, the waters above from the waters below. You know what I mean? If we all live with waters above us and waters below us, we all live in a submarine.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Very
where
cool.
does the yellow come from?
The yellow
And it
one of the layers of the firmament could be gold.
yeah, who says
It's called
they're gold?
amber. It's called amber light.
Yes.
Okay, so
Or
that
amber.
in this
Or
so in this
Seattle, what is it? Sierra Leone. I forget that stone. I have one almost on my. I think I have one on my wall. There's a Sierra Leone. I presented it in my last presentation a long time, or not my last one, a while ago. Watch, I'll have to look it up real quick. Sorry.
yeah. So this amber light is where the ether is supposed to be, between the two domes, between the two firmament, between
There
the
you
two
go.
spheres, and which is that's what is moving, and the stars are supposed to be in the outer firmament.
Yes,
Okay.
on the outer side, and there's
and
water between, which is why they look like they're waving underwater.
No,
'Cause there's water between
there's
the stars
water
and us.
above, Rob. The water is above
Okay.
that dome. That's
Okay.
why it looks, because the stars are supposed to be fixed in that dome, and above that dome is supposed to be the ocean, the water above. What we always, where everyone is saying, the ocean above us. So what's happening is that the bioluminescence, that because these oceans have life, okay, these oceans have life too, okay, and this bioluminescence, which is called the bioluminescence, these beings emit light, and that comes like a starlight to us. Okay, that's what is
There you
more or
go.
less is happening.
Ah.
We can say this for certain that there's light up there and there's water. And that's the image we get when we take a high-powered magnification like a P900 or the P1000, and we look at the star. What do we see? It looks like a neon light with water washing over it. There you go. So does the moon, and so does the sun.
Exactly.
There you go.
Rob, exactly that's what's happening. So the first dome is acting like a lens already.
Okay, yes, right.
The first dome is acting like a lens. That's why we see that water movement through the starlight between the amber zone we are speaking about the how we call it, the ether, and then is the water above that dome, the second dome. So the water effect is seen through, and we get this lens effect because of the dome below. That's why we see the stars very near, like 5,000 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
it's just an effect. It's just an effect of the lens. They are supposed to be much higher, much above.
The fact, the distance. Let's talk about the distance of the stars. The fact that the P900 or the P1000 can zoom in and show us what's there proves that those stars are close. They're so much closer than we can even imagine. Okay, and now I want to bring up this
Why
point.
do you say that, Rob? What makes you say that?
The P900 to be able to zoom in, they're only a few miles away.
Okay, but
they're not millions of miles away, which is what quote
not
science
millions.
tells us.
And why can't they be millions of miles away though?
Because the P900 could not zoom in on them if they were that far away.
Okay. What's happening is that it looks very near because it's having a lens effect. It's not million miles away, but it's not so close too. Maybe we are zooming few thousand miles, maybe because we are seeing the stars, but it's not million miles away. But even that it seems very near is only a lens effect. Okay, it may be a few thousand.
It can't be millions of miles away because light doesn't travel millions of miles.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. In technical terms,
that's what I was getting
in technical
at,
terms, a few thousand is near compared to millions. Okay, a few thousand is nothing compared to millions. Yeah, that's where I'm getting at. Right. So at this point, I want to bring up the lunar wave. Please, somebody talk about the lunar wave, or I will. I want to hear what somebody else says. I know what the lunar wave is. I want to hear what everybody else knows about the lunar wave.
Well, it looks like a ripple going across the moon.
Yeah, it sure does, and a lot slower. Okay, Gene, a lot slower than the ripples going across all the stars. You see what I mean? The ripple on the stars is like sloshing all over the place, whereas the moon, it's just one wave that goes, and maybe you get two at one time. Yeah. But it looks like it's a really slow wash.
Yeah, but it does look like a water ripple.
Yeah,
and you know,
it's almost like a slow wave at the beach, like a slow wave coming up. That's what it looks like over the moon.
Yeah, the stars really replicate what the sunlight looks off, reflecting off a little bowl of water. So if you have a bowl of water in the sun, you can have that shine on your porch ceiling. It will. It will totally look like one of the stars. It looks like a reflection of water.
Yeah, you got a fishbowl. Oh, by the way, a fishbowl.
Kymatics with that too. If you hit the bowl different ways, you get different kymatics out of it, which is really cool. You can do it with your kitchen light and your counter too at times. I was doing it last week. If your glass has like 6 sides, different glasses have different shapes. You can tap it and you'll get different effects. It's really cool.
Isn't it interesting that using that technique, Gene, with light and glass, we can replicate the sun and the firmament. By all means, we can. Exactly what we see overhead, we can see below.
Guys, adding to what about the stars, Gene and Rob, as we are speaking about the stars, that you see most of the stars we see are yellow. Again, we speak about the amber, but
yellow submarine.
Few other lights, exactly. That's why it's called yellow submarine, because that's the yellow amber. So
And nobody knows. I played in the high school band in Yellow Submarine. What is this? Nobody knows. The whole world doesn't know, but here we are talking
Yeah,
about it.
it's true. That was like one of the biggest questions going about that band ever. What does it mean?
Yep. Yeah.
And
Here's
rubber sole was to help solidify sneakers and the disconnect between feet and the grass, I think.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, here's
I
another
read-
big question about the Beatles. Why does one of their albums have headless babies on it?
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
no. We're not gonna go in that part. Okay, we're not gonna go in that part of the.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Talking
speaking
about
about
their
the
masters.
stars.
Their
Yeah.
masters.
So speaking about
Go ahead, Vikka.
speaking about the stars, that most of them we see the stars are yellow, but sometimes we see blue and other colors. It's because the radiation, the ether that ether layer between the two domes is where only the radiation of ether or light works there. That's why we have different colors of stars we see because of that reason. Okay, but also because the real light is coming from the ocean above because of the luminescence, so Keith had joined us a bit late, so what we spoke from the start, from now anybody can, or between 2 3 can recap a bit so the people know where we are going. We started from the enclosed system, how the ecosystem works, the rain, the earth, the photosynthesis, the light, and then we started speaking about the dome below. Anybody wants to continue a bit, so, or I will add.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, let me throw this out here right now. Even the clown NASA scientists, okay, we know the Three Stooges. Well, we have the two Stooges of NASA, Bill Nye and what's his name, the mad scientist, or the mad. Oh, I'm sorry, shoot, what's his
Tyson.
name? Yeah,
Tyson.
yeah, and Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye. They both say that the Earth is an enclosed system. Bill Nye says there is no escaping it.
You can't leave the Earth.
Yep.
There you go.
Nowhere
Exactly.
to go.
It's irrefutable. Even the clown scientists admit it, and they don't just admit it; they preach it as if it's their idea. There you go. There is no refuting this. Incredible.
Exactly. So Keith, we as we know, we are speaking about the dome. So we discussed that it's a closed system. So it's possible. Same like if we have a dome above that nobody can escape. Nobody can escape from below too. So how is that oceans and the ground below is held by another part similar to above that's holding, and we are in that closed system, and that's why, and that closed system is immovable, and that this glass ball, if you want to call it in some way, which is transparent. Okay, so, and we are not moving, and what is moving is the dome, the another shell, we could call it, which is another shell that is moving, and there's a layer between the two, which is the ether, which act as a lubricant, or you say Vaseline, or so, and the color of the light, the amber comes from that part, and what's happening, there's a second shell, and the oceans are supposed to be above. So more or less, okay. So we're gonna. You wanna add something, Keith, before we're gonna take a short break after that? Yep.
A simple observation that I've made lately. I live close to Cape Canaveral, about an hour north, so I've seen dozens and dozens of launches, and most of them just go up and up and then over and over and then right back down. Not going with any rotation of the Earth. They're just following the same trajectory as a ballistic missile. But lately, especially with SpaceX activity, they have been launching some of them straight up, and you can literally see like a splash when it runs into the dome. And I try to share this with people, and I show video footage to people of this. Anyone with common sense can say, man, it's banging into something. And sometimes those rockets will hit it multiple times, and you'll see like a flash and a ripple effect happening as the rocket or the booster or whatever it is bouncing off the dome. And they say, oh no, that's just returning to Earth. That's just the booster coming back to land out in the ocean on a platform somewhere. No, they're doing something to map it or test it. I think they know exactly how high it is or how far it is. And
of course they do.
I don't know that they're trying to break through it, but they're definitely doing some kind of experiments on the firmament, and they probably have been for decades.
They probably want to try and get it so they can sell it to us. Make
Yeah,
it
exactly
turn
right.
it into something valuable that we can't live without.
Or give it to the Dutch government like
Yeah.
the petrified wood from the moon landings, right?
Yeah. There's some reason for it. It's probably not going to be any good for us.
Did anybody mention Pink Floyd and the two lost souls swimming in a fish bowl?
Yeah.
Exactly. So a fishbowl.
Oh yeah, fishbowl. There it is.
Half fishbowl turned above. So possibly two fish bowls up and down. All right, we're gonna take a short break, and
and the only thing stationary, Vikka, I just want to mention this. You're absolutely correct that the solid firmament rakia it rotates around us, but the plane of where we live, the bottom. Think of a sphere, and the top half of it is empty. That's the sky in the atmosphere where we breathe and birds and insects fly and airplanes fly. But below is the solid ground, okay, and that's perfectly still and motionless. But the firmament turns all around. It circles once every 24 hours. There you go. That's the idea.
You're right, Rob. But what I'm saying is that there are two. There's a ball inside a ball. That's what my take is, and one we are inside is a fixed, and it's balancing. And what balances this is the ether, the vortex of the ether from the above and below. That even this vortex and this ether also is playing a role of pushing things down. Okay, because these ethers are supposed to be vortex wind, kind of wind ether. It's like, that's why we have that, we could call in a way a gravitational push. The same way we have a gravitational push. It's not gravity, it's just a word we are using. Don't get me wrong, okay? There's other than buoyancy and density, there's literally something that is pushing up to down. Because what happened with Morrison Morley, he did his experiment on a flat surface, but there are some people who lately did an experiment in a vertical, doing the same experiment but in a vertical axis, and they found that really there is that ether wind that really pushes down. Okay, that's why.
Right?
And
go ahead. That whole entire system is parallel and perpendicular to the Earth. There's no divergence between that push anywhere ever. All buildings are plumb to each other.
Exactly, and every anti-gravity device ever made has to do with electromagnetism.
Yeah,
exactly. That's where we are. Where I was trying to go to.
Scientifically, heavy things fall, lighter things rise. But there's a legitimate question: what makes that happen? And electromagnetism seems to be the answer right there.
And exactly, and the ether winds that pushes everything, not only light.
Oh yeah, yep.
Not only light or laser or anything, but also mass. And the same thing, opposite thing is happening below. That's why we have this equilibrium of this ball inside a ball, which is stationary. And we are on that middle of the ball in the flat plane.
Yep.
I agree. That makes sense. It's nice.
So when they say that, so we can have an idea where our whole flat Earth model is, because we always avoid the question what is below and where is it, and so we could make a sense of it that we are inside water in a ball that is moving, and we are still inside another ball on a flat plane, and how the ether and the magnetic fields play the role of having this equilibrium, that we don't just turn around and our ground goes up and our sky comes down, right?
Your vortex
or left or right.
Yeah, your vortex hypothesis definitely speaks volume.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
And
cubics per. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Heavy things fall, lighter things rise, and what's the reason for it? Well, there it is, electromagnetism. One more thing before the break. Just because we're talking about this right now, I've seen quite a few articles written about this. This goes for anybody that we're talking right now, and anybody that's listening. Go to the internet and type this. I just typed this 5 minutes ago. Go any search engine, doesn't matter. Here's the words. Type this: solid barrier above the earth. Type that in and watch what comes up. It'll knock your socks off. Again, solid barrier above the earth, or just type barrier above the earth. There it is. It's all there. All of science knows it's there. Fabulous.
Awesome. So, all right, guys, we'll be back after a short break. This discussion is so awesome. We're trying to put it in words. It's so difficult, but yeah, we're trying our best. We'll be right back, guys. All right, welcome back, guys. What a awesome show we're having today. We have Stars of Flatten the Curve, and then we have Jeannie, and we have Keith. I'm gonna say just a hello to everyone in the chat here. There are a few people from Facebook that I cannot see their names. Then we got Zoo Scott. Amo, how are you? We've got Jess Palmer. Then we've got Dr. Frankenstein. And we've got Parkaway. Evelyn Gold we've got, and there are a few other Facebook users. Then we have got J Daddy. Hey, namaste, J Daddy. Then we've got Matthew Hakim. Hello, Matthew. First time here. Welcome, brother. Hope you're enjoying the show too. We've got, yep, there's a lot of people. There's 444 E-Truth. And yes, guys, if you're visiting first time, do subscribe to the channel. And then an option to be a member of this channel or on Facebook, Truth in Plain Sight. So let's get back to our topic today. So we were discussing what are the possibilities. The best part I like about this research is that at least I can visualize where our flat earth model is, because there are many speculation. There are many things that could be half dome, flying in space or in water. But what we have discussed here, for me, it makes more sense than how it could be possible that we are in two spheres, two glass spheres, and in the middle, which is still with our Earth, which balances through this ether, and the outside firmament that is moving because of that layer between of the ether, which act as a lubricant, if you could call it, where the radiation of the ether and the electromagnetic radiation happens in that layer, and then above and below is the water. You could imagine that's how we could imagine that our flat Earth model would be. So, and you guys want to add something before we continue?
I think it's a great explanation, a great description of what it is, what it seems to be. A lot of good points being brought up by everybody.
Definitely. I also want to put this into perspective, if you gentlemen don't mind.
Go ahead, brother.
Well, if we look up the closest star that's visible, this all has to do with modern astronomy, right? Is Alpha Centauri,
Right.
4.34 light years away. 1 light year is 5,879,000,000,000 light years away, right? The furthest star that we can see, this is all has to do with modern astronomy, is Earndel, which is 13 billion light years away, right?
Just after the Big Bang.
So where is the parallax then? If outer space did exist, I just wanted to put that in perspective.
It's like Antarctica.
Honestly, it's not just millions of miles away. 1 light year is 5,879,000,000,000 light years away.
Miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So where's the
fantasy land.
parallax?
It's
It's fantasy land, just like the continent of Antarctica, mysteriously and coincidentally shaped like the human brain. There you go. In your head. In other words, it's all in your head.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
honestly, that one fact alone will shut up any globe believer, honestly. If you start mentioning star parallax and air pressure containment, you'll shut them up very, very fast.
Exactly.
Okay, here
Second last
somebody
one,
in the
then
chat. Yep, somebody in the chat is saying ball claim, ball in a ball. Yeah, we're not saying the Earth is a ball. Okay, it's the shell which holds the flat Earth. Okay, that's what we could be saying. It could be possible, which have more sense than whatever explanations we have about our flat Earth models till date.
Yeah. Here's the answer. Look
know?
up Hebrew. Look up the original Hebrew of Genesis 1:6. It doesn't say firmament. It says rakia. Let there be a rakia exist around the earth. There it is, dome shape. The upper half is a dome. The lower half is a dome. Put them together. You get a sphere, a spherical shape. Voila.
Exactly, and even in the Vedic, if you see the Vedic model and any other whatever model, they show half dome, but some they show the whole dome from below too. Because as we were saying, as the same way something need to be protected from above, that has to be from below. We cannot have a protection from above and nothing from below and be into infinity. Maybe this structure is not that close that we think it is or could be, but it's not for sure millions and billions of miles, but it is a closed system. We cannot escape. It's been said in many other places that we cannot leave this place alive, so we're not going to have an exit below. Yep.
But it makes me
nobody gets out alive. In other words, there it is.
But you know what? If these people that are in charge and pushing everybody around, these organizations weren't here, nobody would want to leave.
Yeah,
exactly.
We could have paradise on Earth, except for the damn Luciferians ruining everything.
Exactly. I want to live for 800 years, just not with all these people here.
And as a matter of fact, paradise did exist. It was called the people of Enoch. Enoch, the entire group of people was lifted off of the earth because they were so happy with each other. Fabulous.
It does exist. We just can't really experience it because of what we got going on here. It's here.
There you go.
We're in the Garden of Eden. I think I've been thinking that for a long time now. I'm like,
we are in the Garden of Eden. It's just a mortal. It's a mortal version of it. Yes, it is.
Okay.
And there have been brief periods of prosperity. David and Solomon was one of the most prosperous epochs for the entire.
Prosperous in what aspect, though? Like prosperous how, though? I'm not sure.
Actually, in all ways, trade and prosperity for the kingdom. Okay, for the kingdom, they traded with Ethiopia. They traded with everybody around them.
Right.
If you look at the kingdom of David, then mainly Solomon. Solomon was the richest king ever known upon the earth in his day, and he was, and it was because of the laws of the house of Israel. Everybody was in cooperation. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a utopia. This is everybody working their ass off and trading with each other. Okay, it's economic competition, etc. But everybody was in harmony, not with conflict like we are now. There's only two forces in the world: cooperation and conflict. I'm speaking political scientist now. Yes, political science now. It's good and evil, cooperation and conflict. Caveat: use whatever terms you want, but there's cooperation versus conflict. There you go.
And what do they do? All they do is create conflict between us and them, and that's all they do. And they go
exactly divide it.
They go hang out in Antarctica places and have a good time.
There you go. They stir up the anthill and then watch from afar. There you go.
Well, as far as they think it's a good time.
There you go.
All right. So here, Zeus Scott says here, rainbows are 360. Okay, this is also another thing I wanted to cover before we continue the rest of the dome work. So there are many people in flat earth says that because the dome is hemisphere, that's why we see the rainbow hemisphere. Okay, so so here it contradicts, but the reality is we do see 360-degree around rainbows. We do see sometimes.
Also, a sun has to be behind you every time you see a rainbow. You'll never see it at an angle ever. But if you want to go to the scientific definition of a rainbow, you have to have light refraction, light refraction, and light disbursement. You have to have a solid medium for all three of those. So what's the solid medium that's causing the rainbow besides the light source and the water?
Wow, the flat Earth savant doth speak.
And doesn't it also take the shape of what it's going through? The light's going through that medium, and it takes the shape of the medium, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's refracted a little bit, and it puts out the colors. Yes, there you go.
Right, like so on the cover of Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, it's flat.
But could be also for our vision, could be for our lens that we perceive the world. That could be also that we see it like a half, or a full round from a higher. Okay, the other thing I wanted to add.
Circle.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rob. You wanted to add something?
Oh no, I was just reflecting that there we have Kevin, the flat Earth savant. We were listening to the scientific definition. Well done there.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think that the dome had nothing to do with the rainbow. It's just an atmospheric phenomena which is very low. Because if we see the gas layers, okay, what I wanted to add to, because many people say, hey, why do you see the sky blue? It's because the water above. No, the sky we see blue is a light phenomena. Okay, it's the gases in the atmosphere which create that blue light or the light. Because of the gases. It's because of the oceans above. That's much higher. Because if you go on a high altitude balloon, you see all black, and you see the day below. Okay, so it's very local phenomena. So the rainbow is much more local and lower phenomena, and have nothing to do with the dome. And same as the blue light, because of the water above.
No, the blue light is a certain gas being lit.
Could be our atmospheric lensing from our eyeballs itself. Our eyeballs are dome.
Absolutely, it's atmospheric lensing. And if you want atmospheric lensing, go to a sunset as the sun moves away in its orbit above the Earth, as the sun goes away, the strength of the light grows lower. So that's what we see. The different colors in the sky, they're from the less powerful wave of light coming from the sun. That's where we get the fabulous sunsets. It's because the magnitude of the sunlight is going away, so it's reflecting less and less in the sky. The refraction is less, so we get to the lower wavelengths of the different colors. Fabulous when we look at it that way.
Definitely.
Exactly, and you have to add gas to that equation, Rob, because
There you go. Okay.
that's why, because the lower
gas
the
of the
neons, the argon, the krypton,
yes. What do we call them? The
sometimes we see
the
multicolored
royal gases, whatever.
The noble gas.
Exactly.
Noble gases. There we go. Hey, I also want to talk about this. That remember, after the flood of Noah, it was only after the flood of Noah did people start seeing the rainbow. There was no rainbow before the flood of Noah, and I know why. Does anybody else know why? There was no rainbow before the flood of Noah.
That's another topic, Rob. You know, that's a whole topic.
No. Well, here's the scientific reason. There was not
we
enough
know that. We
water.
know why. Yeah, we know. Yeah, go ahead.
There was no water. There was no water in the air. There was no water in the air before the flood because there was no ocean to evaporate and put air into the atmosphere. There was no rainbow before the flood. There you go. There's the scientific reason for it. There was no ocean.
Okay, Rob has a whole other research about that, you know. So
yeah, it's called dry Earth. There was no ocean before the flood, and therefore after the flood, the water vapor content of the air that we breathe expanded drastically to allow this atmospheric lensing to allow light to bend and create the rainbow. There literally was no observable rainbow before the flood because there was no water humidity in the air. Exactly. There was no humidity. Yes, exactly. Yeah. That's it. Fabulous.
So, Rob, we're gonna dedicate that to the whole show for that someday. Okay, so everybody just know that dry earth.
That's a great one.
We're gonna do that in a future. Only topic on that. It's called dry earth. Where it's amazing too, and we're gonna have soon one show about that.
There's another one, smooth earth too, Vikka. I think I told you about this and some other guys. The mountains that we know, they only appeared at the time of the death of Christ. That's another big topic to talk about. So thanks for bringing that up, Vikka. That's a great show to have. Just an entire show just on that.
Exactly. So, So the cosmic, we could call this sphere a cosmic egg. You know, there are some ways to put it. You know, so instead of saying a sphere ball, a glass balls, we could say a cosmic ball or cosmic egg that protects and have our whole ecosystem and our whole inside this cosmic egg. So someone is asking here in the chat that if
and they can Vikka, I've used that term before. I've called it eggshell Earth. It's very much like an eggshell Earth. We think of the contents of the egg inside the egg, and we got the eggshell around us. Absolutely.
Yep. Anybody else want to join? I'm sending a link to one of the person who wants to join us. I think he wants to have something interesting to say. So till I pass the link, you guys can continue a little bit.
Oh, Vikka, you mentioned the Vedic model, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they teach that there's 7 layers over the earth and then 7 layers under the earth. And, going into scripture references, it talks about the 7th heaven and the different levels that are in the heavens. So, when I'm out teaching or not really teaching, but just sharing flat earth, I mean, depending on who I'm talking to, and I'm just sharing this with whoever else is listening, if someone gives a lot of credit to the Bible and it's, infallible word of God and all that, then I'll use scripture to talk to them about the earth. If someone is not open to that at all, then I'll just use the scientific observations. There's real simple truths and simple proofs that we have that the earth is flat and motionless. And this one about the dome is something that as they do more space exploration or low Earth orbit or whatever they call it, it seems to be easier to show people and convince them that yeah, there is definitely a barrier not too far above us.
Yeah, but it's you gotta like you said, Keith, you gotta tell everybody in the way they need to hear it, and it's not easy because there's a brick wall around everybody. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta choose your battles for sure.
Yeah, you gotta come in at the right angle and find their interest, and which is, I mean, it's kind of cool because we can talk about anything, anywhere, anytime, about so many different subjects.
Right. But there's no telling which topic the new individual can accept, right? What is their knowledge, their level of intelligence, their level of experience? What mood are they in that day? You know what I mean? Which damn Hollywood movie they've been watching recently?
Right. You know, you're bringing the Hollywood up, but a lot of the Hollywood people, they're not going to look at it as reality right away. They think it's Hollywood. They think it's all fun and games.
Yeah, exactly. And a good question. There's numerous questions to ask people, but good questions to ask them is: if I could show you something scientifically proven, would you be willing to follow it? Are you willing and able to follow the evidence?
Please consider it.
Right? Exactly.
All right, Matthew Hakim in the chat wants to join us. I don't know if we are friends on Facebook. If you wanted the link to join, you have to send us a messenger. Anyone from us who is in the panel, or to me in Messenger, Matthew Hakim, so we can send you a StreamYard link if you want to join. All right, what I wanted to add was to Keith's question. In the Hindu cosmology, in the Vedic cosmology, this cosmic egg is quite huge, you know, and the visible light that we see can reach, or the shell we are speaking about, the fixed one, according to the Vedic cosmology, I'm just putting it up in a short brief, that it could take 4.5 billion years, or if you're gonna call it miles in a way, you know, and put in distance wise, you know. So where did we hear that 4 billion something? The Big Bang, right? So it's just a copy of the Vedic scriptures till where is the end of the earth, or the start of the earth. When did the earth start? It's a way of putting it, you know. So it's just the most outer shell which we are speaking about, according to the Vedic cosmology, you know. It's just
well said, Vikka. Yep, all they've done, Vikka, is counterfeit what the Holy Creator has made. They've taken it and recreated it under their own garbage. The word aliens, by the way, the word alien is an anagram of the word Elohim. So all these extraterrestrial alien creators that they like to talk about, they're based on the Elohim, the Holy Creator of the Vedic and the Hebrew cosmologies. That's an interesting point right there. It's a rip-off. Yeah, it's a rip-off counterfeit. That's all it is.
All of it is everything they hand to us. The phones.
Well said, Gene.
So in the Vedic cosmology is the same thing. It's a sphere with the half of it is ocean and land, and above is the atmosphere, and this egg, cosmic egg, is in the vast oceans where other cosmic eggs exist. That's the Vedic cosmology, more or less, you know. And and it has this layer of everything, you know, of the matter, of the electromagnetism, of the ether. Everything has its own element and layers, you know, in this cosmic egg. And what we are here discussing about is, apart from this egg, which is non-movable, today we are having discussion about what it could be, what possibly it could be. So we are trying to put it in words where we could say, yeah, it's a glass ball that is still, which is floating in in ether, which is covered by another ball, which is moving. So we could come now to how is it moving? How is it possible that it's moving in the water?
Could be electric current. It's just a buzz going through it.
Yeah, because you imagine the size of this, we couldn't imagine the size of this dome or these spheres we are inside, right? So what are the possibilities? Yeah, go ahead, Jeannie.
What helps me try to understand the size of it is really picturing this whole realm we know, everything we're talking about right now, existing inside that tiny bubble in a pool. And if that just helps me put things in perspective when I shrink things down to sizes like that, and then it blows everything else up so much. It's just the way I look at the stuff. Shrink it down and expand it.
Well said, Gene.
So thanks.
Like Vikka said, think of a vast, infinite ocean, and our eggshell dome is just one of thousands, one of millions. So that's what the scripture tells us. There's millions of other creations. We're just one of them. That's a lot of space out there.
Yeah, guys, listen, the information that these people give us are where our limitations are. God didn't give us limitations, so try to explore them. Don't let this world put limits on your thoughts. They're free.
Yes, exactly. And Gene, I grew up with that concept. I recognized the limit early. I mean, like junior high and high school. I realized, what's this? I kept feeling something's crushing me, like this limiting my thoughts.
I was thinking here.
Exactly. I grew up in the ranch land of Arizona, and I mean, behind my parents' house, it's wide open Arizona pasture, and I mean, there's nothing from my parents' house to the horizon, east to west, and I mean, literally, I did not have a backyard. I roamed like an antelope across the Arizona desert, and then when I went to town, it was fabulous. And that is open as a rancher from Missouri and a desert rancher from Arizona. When I went to town in the schools, I always felt this limiting factor on my thoughts, and I thought, I never liked it, and I thought, I don't impede me, right? I don't like this. And then even especially you can imagine when I joined the Army, right? Yeah, the limits on everything. But Gene, you said it just right, exactly right there. There should be no limits on our thoughts. The Creator created us that one day we might become like Him. Well, we should have no limits on our thoughts. We are limited by mortal. We are mortal, but that's our only limitation. That's our only limitation.
Yeah, and they do limit us even more by stifling us into these little corners of separation and finances and their trade. Well, they're not going to give us this, so we have to buy oil from somewhere else and stuff like that.
Divide and conquer, right? Divide, limit, and conquer. Divide, limit, and conquer, right?
Yeah.
There you
go. But here we are trying to wreck the system.
Oh yeah, here's what I was gonna bring up. They tell us there's space out there, but there's nothing in it. When we just discovered that outside the firmament, there's a vast ocean with millions of other dome-like Earths in it. Sure, there's a lot of space out there, but it's not empty. On the other side of the firmament, it's full.
Right. That's the Drake equation. They scientifically explained it. That somebody we interviewed, one of our guests was working with Drake, and he took all the numbers that science gives us of how many galaxies with how many stars in them and how many, and they broke it down to how many civilizations on the low end of possibility, and it was like some insane number. I forget the numbers, but it's called the Drake equation, and the possibilities of alien life was like countless, but it's even more countless when you break it down to reality that we're talking about. It's way more countless than that.
Zeus Scott says they say that the moon is inside Earth atmosphere now. Yeah, the sun, the moon, everything if we think in a relation with the dome, what we are speaking about here, so it could be in this middle layer, or what's happening. It could be. It feels like it's inside, but it's just a lens effect, So could be because we know that the sun is not hot. We already spoke about it
That's
in many
correct.
of our. So and if even if the star, which are fixed in the upper dome, that is moving, that the light is coming from the water above, which many knows without knowing it what is exactly happening, that bioluminescence that light is coming through these stars which is moving above, so the sun and the moon also is in question, that which layer is it exactly in. Is it in an under layer, it's in the middle layer, or it's really above in the ocean, so it's many different questions arise if we think
I
and
think
we
it's in
see
the
that
lower
with this
ones.
eggshell is possible.
Wasn't Ishtar? Didn't Ishtar come here through a cosmic egg? Isn't that the story of Easter? One of them. Anybody?
Haven't heard that. I know Ashtaroth is Easter, but I'm not sure about the egg concept.
Yeah, I think yeah, and that's why we have Easter eggs from a rabbit.
Right. Well, Ashtaroth was the pagan god of fertility and mass orgy reproduction.
Right. Well, there's the
actually,
rabbit
the god of copulation, right? So there's the rabbit and the egg.
and the egg.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so
some sort of.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
Jeannie. No, go ahead. Jeannie, you wanted to add something?
Well, I was just going to say that egg is just the chicken is birthed from the egg, right? So maybe that's a symbol of being birthed from some cosmic egg of sorts. I don't know. I'm not sure of the
Could
story,
be.
but just.
All right, so we continue. What could be the possible that the outer shell, the outer firmament, or the outer dome is getting its movement? So one possibility, it could be that it's a water turbine.
I like that.
The out, because we have water above. That movement of water, there has to be something that is because of that water and that the shape that it works as a turbine, and that's why it's moving around. And between that motion and our motionless Earth is this layer, so it's possible because the water is above, below. Also, the ether winds, as we spoke about, are from above and below, is also playing a part. So even the waters could be playing a part in a way to keep this movement, this motion of this outer shell, if you want to call it, so because during the flood also they
So
speak
is
about the
the
water from
ether?
above and water from below. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if the ether is more like a separate dome in a dome, or is it within the air? Because that's where I thought the information transfer was coming from, like how you could read a mind, like how we could communicate with each other without our phones like this, like in a dream state of sorts. So is it
the air and the
are
ether
we
occupy the
submersed
same
in it,
space?
or is it so are we submersed in it right
Sorry,
now,
Rob.
or is it?
Rob added something. Rob, could you go again?
Yeah, thanks, Gene. In response, the ether and the air of the atmosphere and everything within it occupy the same space.
Okay.
Like, for example, radio waves are part of the ether.
Okay. Yeah,
light travels through the ether. Yeah, we're swimming in it. We're like we say, we are swimming in an ocean of air. Yes. Well, the ether occupies the same space. We're surrounded by ether.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the middle layer too, independent. That's why that
Correct.
electromagnetic field and its ethons is there in particles are in that layer. So you have it's independent also in a layer and in the below layer. That's why we have that pull, the G pull we could call it. The push from above.
So
Because
is
it
it is the incoherent electrostatic acceleration a good description of that, right?
could be because it's affecting light and any motion or any movement through it. It's affecting
Yeah,
it in a way.
everything. Yeah, everything. Even the stuff that floats through it, it's still being affected by it, like the gases, helium, neon, all those. Just less.
Right. So, yep. So I don't know. Maybe this all sounds really out of this world. What we are speaking about, about the whole dome thing and the two shells and the space between and all the stars and the light from above and the waters and the sea around, the oceans above and how we are equilibrate because of this, because of the vortex of this ether and the magnetic fields. So it's really sounds fiction, but it makes much more sense than all the bullshit we've been listening about the globe earth and our flat earth model.
That's more out of this world, Vikka.
So yeah, more or less that's what I wanted to add about it. So about the dome, about the firmament, and yeah, because there's just few things that we speak about the dome. Okay, we have a hemisphere and this and the star and the ocean above, but we try to explain it that how it is exactly happening and could be happening, because all these motions, all these fields, all these everything could be proven and shown, and all the enclosed system and all the ecosystem, how it works, and how could things that it could hold all everything below us and all the magnetic fields. And it's not science fiction. It ain't no science fiction. It's just maybe
No,
new information to somebody, or to many, so but it's there, it's out there. Go and do your own researches and see how is it, if it's possible or not, what is really moving, you know so if we are supposed to be immovable, how would be the dome moving? There is something moving about us, you know so there are a lot of questions and there are possible answers. Why we our flat Earth model is a half dome, flying in space or nowhere, or we don't know with many people what's below, where are we? So these are the possible answers that this could be our real model. You know,
Well,
a
that's it,
fixed
Vika, and
model.
that's why I continuously claim that we, with our research, starting with flatten the curve, well, starting with any research that focuses on the shape of the Earth, the biblical shape of the Earth, flatten the curve, and now heliopsychosis, we are closing the gap between Scripture and science, because Scripture tells us what is there. We can
Exactly.
only
Yep.
speculate on the mechanisms that make all these things happen, but we know what's there. We know what exists. We can only speculate, what causes these things, and we really don't need to, because we know it's there. We can take advantage of it. We can live within it. But trying to figure out what is there, that only makes us wiser if we do. It's positive. But the fact that we're doing these topics are science, right? Scripture science. That's my point. Main
That makes
point is
more and more sense.
Scripture science. There you go. If the Scripture is the basis of our science, then we are approaching truth. If we allow the university and its Luciferian numerology as the basis of our science, well, we're studying mythology. That's all we're doing.
Exactly. Yep. But it makes more sense with all the different mythology or the cosmology or the whatever we want to call it. But that it makes more sense of what we are speaking about. That how could be this thing happening, and these are some of the ways that could be happening. So it's a way to that we could get deeper in the future and try to really get more into it, and so yep. Kevin, you want to add something? Keith, we're going to be wrapping up soon. We're going to have a last thoughts and
No,
we'll be saying
definitely.
goodbye.
I like what
Yep.
you guys were getting at the end there for sure. Seeking you shall find, knocking the door be open, asking you shall receive type of thing. You know what I mean? If we wouldn't seek after these things and weren't researching it and getting together and giving our thoughts about it, then we wouldn't be able to hypothesize and conclude as good as we can. So I do appreciate all of you guys for sure. It's amazing thought for sure.
Awesome, brother. Keith?
It's just good to be part of a community that's willing to question things. And I was having a conversation with someone earlier today on Facebook, and I've known the guy for about 7 years, and he's having a real hard time because he's trying to combine the mainstream science model of the Big Bang with the possibility of the Hebrew, ancient depiction of the universe being flat with a dome over top of us. And I think that confuses a lot of people. And I think it's safe to say that whatever the mainstream science community says about the Earth and the universe, that's not it. That's just simply not it.
That's the opposite.
They've been proven wrong so many times. You cannot observe or measure any claim that they make. It's all pseudoscience nonsense. And I was just telling this guy, I said, listen, if you believe in the Bible, you can't believe in the Big Bang. If you believe in the Big Bang, you can't believe in the Bible. They contradict each other. And he's trying to combine those two things. And it just doesn't work. So, to me, the globe is the baby of the Big Bang. So if you're going to believe in the globe, you're going to discredit the Bible and say, well, the Big Bang is truth. From the Big Bang having zero proof to the macro evolution having zero proof, to their entire gravity model of mass attracting mass having zero proof, and then forget about it, the bending of space and time and how insane that is, and there's zero proof for that. The whole pseudoscience nonsense model, there's not 1 ounce of empirical evidence for it anywhere in reality. And yet we're the crazy ones because we actually observe and measure the Earth being flat and motionless and never moving. And we're the crazy ones. But I just think it's hard for people in a lot of their the way they try to price us in their mind when they're so confused because they're trying to combine what their high school told them or what their elementary school told them with what we are now and what we're actually seeing and observing and measuring, all the time. I think it's great. From what I'm seeing the last several months, it seems like flat Earth is, flatten the curve probably has a lot to do with it. There's like a resurgence, and there's more and more and more flat Earth comments that I'm seeing everywhere.
Oh yeah, there's 100 times more memes now than before.
Yeah, but I'm seeing a huge uptick in the activity of actual flat earthers versus all the trolls that we've all dealt with.
Yeah. Well said there, Keith. And I've got a Hollywood movie for your friend. It's called Spaceballs. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and Keith, for your friend, maybe ask him to watch this show. Maybe he this love for the ball, maybe he can compromise and have that outer model ball and inside flat Earth, and maybe he finds some harmony and maybe he sees some light. Who knows?
I think we were all taught to not question our authority, and the people who assume the authority over your life, they lie to us. They lie to us about everything, and that's the problem. Is that from the time we're really young, we're taught not to question the teacher, not to question the professor, and we're taught to assume that what they're telling us is the truth, when all of us know that most of what they tell us is absolutely not true at all.
Exactly, brother. Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah, it's good to be here with you guys. Thank you for the invitation again.
You're welcome, brother, and thanks, Kevin, too. Did you have your last thoughts, Kevin, or who's going next? Gene?
Want to go, Kev?
Yeah, sure. Just wanted to say thank you guys again, and the more often we do this, the more we can conclude. And these discussions with you type of people are just amazing to me. So you guys are always expanding my receptors and Thank you to Keith for jumping on. Thank you to Rob. Always a pleasure. Gene, Vikka, I always look up to you guys. So to yet again another show. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, brother, for passing by. It's always great to have you too. Gene.
Yes, sir. I had a great day, guys. Thank you all for being here. Rob, Keith, Kevin, it's great to see you guys. It was a great discussion. And Keith, I'd like to add a little bit of what you were saying, because I know there's something beyond this world that's trying to communicate with us and get our better thoughts, as well as get our worst thoughts and actions. We know we're talking about that good and evil inside your head. That's real. And the less you feed the bad monkeys, they go away eventually because they're not being fed. And then that gives you more time and attention to the good side of what's going on inside you. And that would be the God or the spirits that put this place here. And I always thought that, wow, God made the universe the way science explained it. He had a pile of dust in his hand and blew it out all over the place and put our souls here and said, hey, go figure out what I did. And it's simply not the case, because like you say, Keith, there's no observable, measurable, repeatable evidence anywhere, anytime, ever of the scientific explanation. Some of this stuff works, like chemistry can work, stuff like that works. So it's so twisted and hard to separate. But some of you know that there's more to this world than meets the eye. And I think the spirits live in the radio waves, and they are absolutely trying to communicate with all of us. So don't feed the bad monkeys, guys, and God will show himself to you. I promise you. I'm telling you, don't give up. Don't ever doubt it. And be happy. Don't worry.
Indeed, Kevin. Indeed, Gene. The creator is a scientific fact. Reference the final scene of the documentary film called Expelled by Ben Stein. Even Richard Dawkins admits there is a creator. There it is. The creator is scientific fact. There you go.
It has to be.
Exactly, and what we spoke about, that how is this whole thing could be happening right now, what we spoke in the whole show. So it has to be created. It's a technology. It's working perfectly. So
yeah,
it has to be a creator. Yep. The perfection, the dimensions.
It's stunning.
Right.
It's amazing. And yeah, you know what? If we weren't so suppressed with our lives and the knowledge that we could have, because you can't figure it out all by yourself. If they didn't tell us 2 and 2 is 4, we may never know that. And it's as simple as that. Like licking a seed and saying to the seed, you're going to produce for me and I love you. And you grow plants that really produce for you and love you back is real. No one will ever convince me of anything else, ever. And that's
a phenomenal fact.
That's all right, God Rob, working. Your last thoughts, brother?
Okay, yes. Thank you, Vikka. Licking the seed, I love that idea. I need to start doing that. That's a great idea. And it makes complete sense, too.
I heard of that. I did take it a little further. I thought maybe put them in your mouth and say a prayer and do a like Om. And really pray to that seed, because it's God. God is the seed. God is the air. God is everything, guys.
We too, brothers. We too are the seeds. We all are, yeah. And we have to.
We all are.
The next
we
generation.
Are creations. We are the creations. Okay,
Rob, you want to add something before we wrap up?
Last thoughts from me. The Holy Scriptures define everything that we talked about today. Genesis, think about it, the very first page of the ancient scripture says, verse 6, let there be a firmament, meaning a solid dome-shaped covering. That's what we're talking about today. When we study the scripture as science and base our scientific observations there, then we start with truth. That's where the truth is. And if we do not understand the world with the simplicity of a little child, we shall not see the creation. We'll not see it. We'll not see the truth of it. We'll not see the actuality of it either. So that's the point beauty. There. Yeah, the beauty and the grandeur and the infinite potential. Right. The infinite potential, right? And as part of that, we can add this, that this creation is only one of millions in number as the sand of the sea. Okay, right? There we go. This is only one of the many creations in the vast infinity of, there is infinite space out there, but it's not empty. And it's on the other side of the firmament rakia, where we'll never know what's out there. Nobody gets out alive. We'll know what's out there, sure enough, but after this life. After this life is done, we've moved on to our next realm, okay? Our next realm. Then we'll see everything.
That's right.
To our next egg.
Okay, yeah.
Egg, you know?
Yes, our next egg realm, whatever that is. A couple more points, Vikka. Standing water tells us everything we need to know. Standing water, completely still and motionless, always flat on its surface. That destroys heliocentrism right there. There is no spinning ball. The water tells us so. There you go.
That's a great one.
Yeah, definitely. So guys, today's show was, for some people, maybe it sounded like very flat out sci-fi, but I tell you, man, this what we discuss here would make, if you really dig in deep, makes much more sense than whatever we know about the dome, our firmament, or whatever you're gonna call it, and what could be possibly happening. And that's our whole point is to get together and discuss and dive in and try to know that what could be happening, because that's what we all were supposed to do. And I think it was an awesome show today, and we would be back next week with another awesome discussion with this awesome guest here. And thank you, everybody, Kevin, Keith, Gene, Rob, for being here.
Thank you,
and
Vikka.
you guys and everybody in the chat for being here today. And we see you soon until the next episode of Heliopsychosis podcast. This is Vikka Draziv signing off, guys. See you soon. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Astronauts to the moon.
Houston, we have a problem.